Welcome once again, everyone. It's hard to believe, thinking about it this last little bit. 27 years ago, we got this thing called Friends Church off the ground. And man, what a ride. What a ride. Remember 10 years in, from the time we started, things had been on this real crazy train. 10 years in, we were sitting as a staff team at our offices down in Silver Springs, actually in the Northwest. I remember being in the boardroom, and my partner, who we started the church together with, he said, I got to tell you guys something. He said, I'm resigning. And it caught me so off guard. I was just like, wait, what? I could have swore you said you were resigning. He said, yeah, I'm going to be stepping back. And I remember instantly just going, no, you can't do that. No, man, we got the dream here, man. We're doing great things. Don't get in the way of this, man. We're about taking water. We're helping people. This was all going on in my mind, and I remember not saying too much until after the meeting. I went into his office and said, I don't understand, man. Like, I remember Kelly looking at me and saying, Jeff, I just got something else in my heart that's brewing, and I feel like this chapter for me has come to an end. And he says, I'm excited about, and he began talking about some of the things that he's thinking about doing. I was like, no. In my mind, I'm thinking, how can you be so selfish? Like, that's about you. This Friends Church is about it's about us helping the world. It's about, didn't matter what I said. He was doing it. That year, there were a few members of our team at that time that stepped up and said, actually, you know what? I think my time's coming to an end. I remember going, wait, what? No. They're going, yeah, just this incredible opportunity opened up for me. There's a couple extras that did. And I was just like, oh, hang on. And they were so excited about these new chapters. I'm like going, no. And I remember at one point, people started coming up to me and going, so what's the deal, Jeff? Are you leaving? Like, are you done here too? Why don't you just tell us right now? And I remember just looking at them and just going, nope, I'm not going anywhere. Now, I didn't want things to start rocking, people start panicking, but I remember just going, no. We're here. We're good. Relax, everyone. We're staying. This thing is, let's go. But if I was really honest, even in that moment, that was my instinctual reaction. I didn't really consult myself where I was at. I was like, there was some voice inside of me that's just going, say you're staying and everything is good and let's just keep this thing going. I'm like, okay, let's go. Something inside of me was saying, Jeff, a lot of people need Friends Church. And they're counting on you. And you do something, they're going to be somewhat pissed off. And I was like, you're right. Let's go. Now, thankfully, I love pastoring. I loved leading this community. There wasn't a day I woke up in the morning where I'm like, oh, I hate my job. Well, there may have been a couple. But for the most part, I loved doing this. I loved leading this community. And so you just keep moving. But over the years, I've began understanding more and more of this critical relationship between, and you've heard us talk a lot about it, between our I and our they. This relationship between what I need, what I want, deep down inside, what is best for me, what I believe, what I think, what I find funny, what recharges me, my I, and then what those around me need, what they prefer, what they like to watch on TV, how they spend their time, what their spiritual journeys need. They're they, my they in my life, the people in my world and what they're needing. And this balance between honoring the they and honoring the I. And when we get that right, when we don't just collapse ourselves and say, no, whatever you need, it's not about me. When we get it right, we start coming to this thing called we. And we talk about it again and again. The spiritual journey is about balancing the two so that we get to we. And over the years, I've recognized that Jeff, as a person, is probably, I have a very strong they orientation. I've always been hyper aware of the people around me for a whole bunch of different reasons that you've heard me talk about. Some healthy, some unhealthy. And I've learned that I haven't had the greatest I orientation. I've oftentimes defaulted to the they and neglected my I, sometimes at the peril of my own well-being, sometimes at the peril of my family, and you've heard me talk about that too. And this has been a journey for me. Over the years, I've determined, Jeff, you got to develop your I. It's okay. It's okay to honor what you need. And it all began just by learning to ask myself, well, what do you think, Jeff? Quit asking what everyone thinks. What do you think? No, but what do you feel about this? What would you prefer? And it's just not a natural gear for me. And so part of my own spiritual journey, as I've been in the gym every Sunday with many of you, has been learning, Jeff, you got to set some boundaries here. You can't just say yes to all these things. Sometimes you got to say no. Sometimes you're going to disappoint, and that's okay. Get comfortable with someone being a little bit upset with you. Think about what you need, Jeff, and say yes to that sometimes. This has been part of my journey. You're probably sick of me by this point, talking about this journey for me. But boy, it's hard making these kinds of changes, isn't it? Now, whether you're a high I person, where you already know what you want, and you don't really give a rip about what everyone else thinks, maybe that's your default. And your journey has been learning to kind of pay attention more to the people in your life and what they're needing, and learning to yield sometimes and saying, well, you know what? Okay, fine. Yeah, let's do it your way. Whatever your journey's been, it's hard when you see an area of your life that you're going, but if I could learn to do this a little bit better, man, would that be something? And I don't know about you, but around January, and we start talking about resolutions, we start talking about change, doing different stuff, it's often a time when I revert to my own journey and go, come on, Jeff, this year, you're going to make some traction here. You're going to be careful with the kinds of commitments you make elsewhere. You're going to learn to rope off this area. Remember, Jeff, this is what you need. This is when you are healthiest. When you're doing these things and you keep giving that away, you keep, come on. And I go, yeah, let's go. But then life kicks in, huh? questions asked. Why is change so hard a couple weeks ago? What is it? I think the common answer was, man, you just need more willpower. You don't have enough willpower. You want to make change. Oh, you want to get in the gym this year? Well, then grow some willpower. Get in there. Quit being a baby. Whatever that it might be. But he challenged that assumption. He says maybe it's not just a lack of willpower as to why you don't make the change you want to make. Maybe there's something else going on. Alessandra referenced it earlier. We've been talking about internal family systems. If you've gone through any form of therapy or whatever, maybe you know that term IFS. Doesn't matter if you don't. It's a theory. It's a theory that we have different parts inside of us that they want different things for us. There's parts of us perhaps that want to get in shape. There's maybe something inside you that's going, yes, this is year, I'm going to drop a few pounds. There's that part of you that's going, come on, let's go. But man, you go to do it, and there's another part of you that says, I love bread. Why don't we just watch the movie? You don't have to do that tonight. Let's do that tomorrow. Maybe there's a part of you that really wants a healthier relationship in your marriage. And you're going, oh, this is going to be the year where we grow closer and we're going to get past some of these patterns that we've been in because it's unhealthy and it takes us into some dark place. This year is going to be the year it changes. But boy, then there's this other part that just starts talking. Just when you're thinking, I'm going to bring it up and maybe we need to go in and talk to someone. Maybe we got to figure this out. And just when you want to step out and say something to your partner, some part of you says, you do that. You know what will happen. You know what he'll say. You know the trouble. You know what his reaction's going to be. Oh, yeah. We see we got these parts inside us that are kind of battling. You want to step out in that new hobby or that career. You want to learn a language. You want to do something inside of you saying, come on, this is the year I'm going to make some kind of change. But man, right when you get on the doorstep of doing it, some part of you starts conspiring and speaking. Saying, come on, man. You sure? You remember what happened last time? And all of a sudden, before you know it, you're talked out of it. You're backing away. You're second guessing. Do I really want that? There's these competing parts within us, and I've had a people-pleasing part inside of me that speaks to me when I'm thinking about stepping out and doing something. It says, think carefully about all the people this could impact. Hang on here. Or just when we're having a big open conversation, and it's kind of some divisive thoughts and opinions being weighed out. And someone says, Jeff, what do you think? That part starts talking, saying, you say what you think. You know, him and her are going to freak. You better backpedal here, pal. How many of you have ever felt this? No. When was the last time you felt the internal tug of war going between your parts? Where does it happen for you? This is a very critical question. Where does it happen for you? The question isn't, is it happening? It is happening. The question is, do you see it? Are you aware of it? Because many people are asleep about the internal tugs of war going on between their parts. And they don't see it. And just when they want to make change, it starts happening and they're unaware. And before long, they're right back into the same pattern they've been. Can you imagine if that could change this year? Can you imagine if you could spot when all of a sudden it's happening, you're going, oh, I'm going to revert back to that place I've always been. Can you imagine if you could see it and actually change? Last spring, when this opportunity for me to step out and take on a new opportunity at this golf course thing, I'm sure you're tired of hearing about it around here. I remember when the idea got pitched by me. If I'm really honest, something inside me just leapt. Something inside me just was, but almost instantaneously, my parts started freaking out. Saying, don't you even think it. That would be the most selfish thing you could be doing. Think about the impact. Think about the consequence. I remember Kathy and I were sitting at our island in our kitchen. We're having this phone call with these friends of ours. And the idea got pitched out. And Kathy was smiling. She's just like, whoa. She's looking at me and I'm not smiling. I'm just like, I didn't even see what was going on, but I was panicked. I'm like, whoa, no, hey, no. I almost wanted to shut it down. Over the next number of weeks, Kathy would say, hey, what do you think? I said, Kathy, I don't even know that it was serious. I didn't want her getting all excited about it. I got nervous even when she talked about it. She says, have you talked more about that? No, we'll just wait. We'll just see if it comes up again. There was part inside of me that was just going, you even start thinking about that and the chain of events that will create and the reaction. This part inside of me that's saying this. So nervous. That'd be so selfish, Jeff. The conflict internally was huge. You know, these parts inside us that can start getting really loud when we're about to contemplate change. It's easy to villainize them. It's easy to look at them and say, man, those frickin' parts trying to derail me, trying to keep me from something. It's easy to villainize them, but in all actuality, these voices, these parts are actually just trying to protect us. This is very important to understand. They are trying to protect you from some perceived danger that they are anticipating. I was in grade 9. I was playing football with a bunch of friends. And we were playing tackle football, and I got tackled. Broke my collarbone. Guy came down on me heavy and snapped. Anyone ever break their collarbone? Oh, man. Only one lucky one in the room here. I'm telling you, you break your collarbone in any movement like this, it's like the bone just kind of clicks in and out. And the nerves in around there are so, it was unbelievable pain. Like I know Kathy talks about pregnancy and childbirth, but it was so painful. I just wish all you women could understand. Anyways, all joking aside, I remember being in the hallway at school, and I had my arm in a sling, and a kid, it was a busy hallway, a kid came running by, and his shoulder caught my elbow in my sling. This was like a week and a half after the injury. And I felt my collarbone, and the pain hit so hard. I dropped to my knees. I almost blanked out. The pain was so bad. And everyone's looking at me going, what the heck? And I'm just, but it was such pain that from then on, I never walked in the hallway when it was all full of people. I was like, anyone that would come by me, I'd be kind of protecting this arm. People, we even I do this, and they're going, "Whoa, buddy." I'm like, sorry, I just don't want you touching this thing. This is a lot like what our parts do. They're trying to protect an injury, and we don't even maybe remember the injury. It's just so embedded in our psyche. And so it has us flinching when we're exploring change, we're exploring a new direction. Oh, we're gonna cut back on our finances. Oh, we're gonna step up. We're gonna try this new thing. Oh, maybe we're gonna move, and the company's going through restructuring, and all of a sudden that thing starts locking down. The parts are going, hey, careful, don't go there. Step back, stay away. It starts trying to protect us from some kind of pain it thinks is there or could be there. What's funny is long after my collarbone healed, I mean, I'm fine. You could bang my arm, you could do whatever. But every now and then, someone comes up on me a little too close. No, it's all right. It's just a flinch reaction. And years after, someone has some emotional scarring or some wound from some event in our lives, even from childhood, our protectors rise up and say, don't go there. And we don't even know it because it's so embedded into our subconscious. I've quoted Michael Singer over the years. You've heard me quote him to ad nauseum, the untethered soul. But there's one part in this book where he talks about the thorn, and that is exactly what I'm talking about right now. He describes the pain, the emotional scar tissue from something that's happened deep within our lives. And it gets embedded. And it causes, anyone that comes near, it can be an insecurity. It can be a former experience of abuse. It could be a time when you felt abandoned in your life. Someone said something that caused so much embarrassment that now, anytime that topic comes up, you recoil, worried. What is someone going to say here? We don't know. They look so different for every person. Michael Singer calls them a thorn, and they get embedded in our life. And he says, you really have a couple options. He boils it down. You could actually do the work of removing the thorn so that you don't have to continually flinch, or you can build your life in such a way that you never walk down the crowded hallways. You never go near anyone or anything that might touch on that scar tissue. And he says it's a tragic story how many people choose to leave the thorn. Sometimes not intentionally, but they just don't realize the scar tissue that's there. And they build their life trying to insulate themselves from anything or anyone touching the scar. Coming back to this whole series, we're talking about change. We don't realize it's not a willpower thing. Sometimes the thorn is embedded and it keeps us locked in the same place day after day. And just when you think you're going to break through, locks down. That might touch that spot. And you go, okay, nope. Do you know where your thorns might lie? Do you know the areas that you're trying to protect at all costs? Very important question. You know, over the years, growing up in church, there's a passage, a teaching that Jesus offered some people one day. And I've heard it talked about over the years. And there's a lot of beautiful explanations for what he was really getting at. And I want to talk about it, and then I want to talk about another potential interpretation of what he was getting at this morning. He simply said this: enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only few find it. I am wondering if another way of looking at this passage wouldn't be Jesus saying, you can spend your entire lives insulating yourself, staying locked down in big, wide open spaces where no one ever comes close to push your buttons, to expose an insecurity, to bring up some past emotional wound. And you stay safe. You stay locked down, knowing if you just stay on this big, wide open space, no one's ever going to expose that pain again. But you go nowhere. Or you can choose the narrow road. But that narrow road forces you to remove the thorns. Because there ain't no way you're getting through that gate without people bumping in, without you exposing yourself to potential issues and risks and challenges and stuff that might push your buttons in different ways. And Jesus says, man, if you could choose the narrow way, that is the way to life. Because through doing that stuff to remove the thorn, you get to choose the things that honor your I and your they and get to we. You choose the wide road, I'm telling you. You can have the I or you can have the they, but it gets really tricky to have both. I only wonder if that's another way of looking at this verse. I'm not saying it's the way, but it speaks truth to me. Like they say, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but I know it's true. I remember this fall, I was in the library with Vince. It was our weekly leadership meeting, where we sit down and we talk through all the different stuff that needs to be addressed for the coming weekend. We debrief what happened in the gym the Sunday before, talk about all kinds of volunteer issues, whatever it is. In this opportunity, I was coming to the point where I need to fess up. I needed to talk about it because it wasn't going away. And I sat in that meeting and we talked about everything, and Vince looked at me, he said, okay, we good? Done? And my part inside of me was screaming, don't say anything. Don't do this. As soon as you say it, you can't unsay it. And then there we go. And I remember just sitting there, and I mean, my heart rate was going through the roof. Vince gets up to leave, and he looks back at me, and I'm not moving. He's like, you all right? I said, I don't know if I am all right. I got some to tell you. And in that moment, my heart is screaming, he is going to be so pissed off at you as soon as you say this. He says, what's going on? You're looking, is this serious? You okay? I said, I'm debating a big decision. He's like, okay. Closed the door. He's like, what's going on? You're making me nervous. I said, oh man, I'm thinking about a new career. Everything inside me told me he is going to freak. And as I explained what I was thinking about doing, didn't happen. In fact, he's looking at me going, that sounds like a no-brainer. I said, you think so? He's like, oh man. Like, how do I get mad at that? He said, I think you need to do it. I was like, I remember the cognitive dissonance I was in that moment. Everything, the way he reacted to me was so different than what my parts had told me would happen. I walked out of that library that day flying. I'm like feeling more and more released to step out and do something that was deep inside of me. I look back now and I go, Kelly, now I know how you felt. Oh, released to do something that's just, it's not like it's better. It's not like it's been waiting for me. No. It's just the next chapter. But it's what Jeff needs to do. I walked out of there and went, oh. I said, Vince, thank you. Thank you for letting me honor my eye and do what I need to do. And not reacting the way I thought you'd react. It's like, pfft. Vince has been talking about this book called Immunity to Change. And it's an amazing book that we would highly recommend. Anyone who has wanted to step out of age-old patterns, move. This is what this whole series has been built on, is immunity to change. Anyways, a big part of the process of facing your parts and stepping into what down deep you know you really want and need is this thing where they call it testing your assumptions. Because my parts had a bunch of different assumptions going on. And as soon as I started reaching out and pushing in, when they are going, don't do it, this is what's going to happen. And I did it, and it didn't happen. All of a sudden, I'm going, wait a second. I was so convinced you knew the truth. Here's the thing, sometimes your parts don't know what's going to happen. And so the process, the risky step of stepping out and saying, I'm going to test some assumptions here. My part is saying, don't do this, I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to watch and see what happens. You test these assumptions that these parts are working off of. You get to the other side. And it's crazy sometimes how the old wound that has developed the parts in the first place that are all screaming, they have no clue. Part of it is being able to have the courage to step across the line and go, I know there's some part of me that's kind of wigging out. I need to calm them down, and I got to step across this line to do it. I'm gonna close up this morning, and I would hope that as I'm talking this morning, that there would be some in this room, some who will be listening on the live stream, some who will eventually listen to this on podcast, who will know exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about someone who's stuck, trying to make change, but keeps getting turned around and ending back in this place because these parts talk and they back away. My hope and prayer is that there'd be someone listening to this who would say, wait a second, what part is talking to me and convincing? What are they saying? See, this is the work of IFS. This is the deep work of saying, what is it? What are they so afraid will happen? In fact, you could ask yourself that right now. Is there a part that has continually spoken in your ear and convinced you? Don't do it. And you have subconsciously just gone along with whatever it's saying. My prayer for you is that you would even start by trying to figure out what that part is. Now we've talked about this. Some of you have already located a part. And you've even named him or her. And what it sounds, she or he sounds like in your ear. And it moves from being able to just be aware of it, and then to get traction over it, it involves us just saying, thank you, I know you're freaking out right now. As I'm sitting in the library looking at Vince, if I was really aware, if I really had this down cold, I would have been able to just kind of take a moment, breathe, and say to my part, hey, pal, I got it. I know what you're most freaked out about. Freaked out he's going to be upset. I get it. I'm aware that could happen. It's okay. It's amazing just being aware of it, acknowledging it, saying, it's all right, can all of a sudden lower its volume and allow you to step across the line. Over the last 12 years that I've been in the process of recognizing my people-pleasing tendencies, you guys have listened to me talk about it. You have allowed me at times when I've been on my game to say no. Sometimes I've had to say no to some of you. Today on my last message, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for building a safe place where we can learn to face these demons inside and choose a better way for each of us. You've allowed me to do that. My heart is full, very full. For even now I'm making this decision to just step right out of this community to pursue something else. And this is the ultimate saying no to all of you, to say yes to a new chapter. And everything inside of me, all these parts that were screaming, saying they're going to be upset with you. They're not going to understand. It's been the opposite. All they've had is people coming up and saying, I'm happy for you. Thank you for allowing me to take another step in my journey to honor my true self. This has been amazing. And I am going to miss it terribly. But my prayer for you is that you will each take a step in the same way. That you will acknowledge the part inside of you that maybe has been getting in the way of the change that you know you need to make, whatever the change that is. And that this year, this week maybe today, you would just say, shh, shh, shh. I'm going to do this. And it's okay. I know what you're worried about. Shh, it's okay. And you take the step anyways. May this year mark some of the greatest traction in your life toward you pursuing who you truly are. That's our prayer. I tell you, that's what the spiritual journey is all about. You recognizing who you are and chasing after that thing. Because man, when you find your true self, you want to talk about capacity to take water to your world? No one has greater capacity than those who are honoring who they truly are. No one. It's my prayer. That's our prayer for you. Thank you. I'm done. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome week. Yeah. I love you guys.